Man, she left you for one simple reason. That is, you lost masculine fucking frame. Now, if you do not fix your masculine frame, you will never enjoy a long-term relationship, at least not a functional one. So if you don't want to fucking die lonely and you want to be with a good woman, you need to fix your masculine frame. And lucky for you, we're going to do that today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you what masculine frame actually fucking is. Then I'm going to show you how you lost masculine frame. And then obviously I'm going to show you how to fucking fix it, because otherwise what's the fucking point of this video? Now, you might wonder, what is frame? What the fuck does this actually mean? So frame, per definition, is a mental model of a situation. So it's the interpretation of the context of a situation. Let's go back in time, bro, to make it a bit less abstract and more like practical. Let's go back in time and imagine there's a castle with a king and a queen. Now, the castle represents the frame of, represents a frame, yeah? And it represents the frame of the king and the queen, the dynamic between these two, as well as the king and his people living there. Now, the king had people living there who were paying their taxes, because the king had the frame, as so they were reporting to him, they were following his lead, and as a result, they were paying him taxes because he told them to do so. Yeah. So fundamentally, what you're getting away from, or what you're getting here, is essentially that the king determined the rules and the norms that everyone who lived in this castle had to follow. Yeah, that's essentially the frame that he created for this castle. Now, on top, he had servants who were following his lead, and he had a king's guard that was protecting him. Now, what you'll obviously also notice is that he was only one person, but he was ruling over hundreds of thousands of people. So they could have essentially just said, fuck you, we're going to take charge. But because his frame was so powerful and the establishment of his frame was so powerful, he was actually capable of leading so many people. His king's guard could have offed him easily, because I'm sure they were stronger than him, but they followed him because his frame was so strong, and his frame was given by, back in the days, his power, which he inherited. So the power that he was carrying there or holding was essentially defining the strength of his frame. Now, he had the same power and dynamic towards his queen, which means they were both powerful, but he was still more powerful than her. Yeah. Now, let's take that example and extrapolate that to your relationship. Every relationship has essentially, or is a castle with a king and a queen. Let's ignore king's guard and servants and shit like that right now. Now, over time, and I see this with most of the guys that I coach and in my community, most of the time, you, at the beginning of the dating stage, you present yourself, convey yourself as this high achiever, confident, charming, magnetic, and you present yourself, convey yourself as a king, which let's say, Jessica finds attractive. And that's why she's attracted to you. That's why she's been with you for years and years, whatever. But over time, you started to lose your masculine frame, and you stopped living by the own rules, the norms, and the principles that you established for this relationship, this castle. So you disobeyed and betrayed, is the better word, the norms, the rules, the principles that you set out for this relationship. And because of that violation, you more and more turned into a servant to her. And suddenly, the power dynamic shifted. So suddenly, she was more powerful than you, even though at the beginning you were more powerful than her. And by that, I don't mean that you did have an unequal dynamic. You loved both each other. You were not like a tyrant. You were not the dictator. You were just a confident, grounded, masculine, assertive man, which she was attracted to. But over time, you lost your frame. You became more needy. You became more clingy. You became codependent, not attached. You became codependent on her. And because of that, you started betraying and violating your principles. And that's when she started to boss you around. Now, what happened also is, in this specific dynamic, is that suddenly there was a void. There was no king anymore, which someone had to step in and fill. So now she, Jessica, had to step into the void of the king. The void the king has left, had created. Now she had to fulfill two roles, the queen and the king, which is almost impossible. Now, based on nature, there has to be there's something called homeostasis. So there has to be 100% dynamic. Yeah, let's say if there's a like nature looks for an equilibrium. That's the fucking word I was looking for, which is 100%. It's called homeostasis. Now, because you stopped leading with your masculine energy, let's say you had 80% masculine energy and she was 20% in her masculine and 80% in her feminine. Now, because you stepped almost completely down and there was only 10% masculine energy left, she had to make up for that, and she had to compensate with 90% of masculine energy. So she had to step from 20% in masculine into 90% of her masculine energy. And because of that, it depolarized the entire castle, as in the relationship. And that's why she started to become mad at you, because you denied her feminine energy. You denied her to be a queen because you stepped down as a king. And now she was so mad at you that you only played the servant in her point of view, or that you depedestalized yourself to the ranks of the servant, that she treated you as a servant because you treated yourself as a servant. It was not her who pushed you down. It was you who pulled yourself down. Now, how did that happen? Over time, you, as I said, you became dependent, codependent. So your attachment style and your neediness, your anxious attachment style, most likely, your Kevin style, essentially, started to shine through. And because of that, your fear of abandonment and her leaving you started to pop up. And because you were afraid that she's leaving you, you started to stopped saying no. You started to be available 24/7, and you essentially gave yourself up. You self-sacrificed, and you started to become too serious. You started to stop being this playful guy she fell in love with, and you started to take everything like you overanalyze things, and you became an emotional wreck. Now, she was pissed. Now, the thing is that she did not want to tell you straight out or straight to your face, because women have a different communication style than like compared to us men. So she gave you hints, hint after hint after hint. So she gave you the hint that, hey, the toilet seat, why is it up again? I told you not to put it down. I told you not to like leave it up. Hey, I want to go out with my girlfriends. Hey, why are you so fat? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? I can't trust you anymore. Like constant disrespect. And then when you made the decision, so like, hey, why don't we go to this restaurant? She said, no, I want this. And so she always distrusted your leadership. Why? Because you showed her that your leadership cannot be trusted. You showed her that you're weak. You showed her that you are sacrificing yourself for her, which she doesn't want. She didn't ask for that. And why am I saying that she didn't ask for that, even though some women might explicitly say this? Because that is a test, bro. Women test over time whether or not your masculine frame is still strong, because they want to know whether or not she's actually with a king. Because imagine you go on a date with a woman. Now imagine you meet her on an app and she looks super gorgeous, and then you meet her and then you see, like, you realize, oh shit, actually I've only seen upper parts of her body. And then when you meet her, she looks like, from waist down, she looks like an elephant. You'd feel betrayed. For women, it's the same fucking thing. But as men, we are like, women look more in, like, they look for men with emotional strength. So of course they will ask us, hey, like, are you this confident, strong man? And of course we would say yes. Of course we are confident. And we would come up with any whatever bullshit excuse for like, or whatever bullshit argument to convince her that we are. But fundamentally, actions speak louder than words, and women start testing you over time, whether or not you're actually this man that you say you are. And most men aren't, because they never work on their internal issues. So the toilet seat, her going out, testing your boundaries, her disrespecting you, her not trusting your leadership is actually a self-made shit show, or self-inflicted shit show, because you've shown her that you are actually not as great of a man as you said you are. And that's when she throws shit tests at you, because that's her way of saying, hey, I think you lied to me. And I think if you don't change, I want out, because you are putting me in danger. You're wasting my life. And that's completely fair for her to say. Because imagine it turns out that you are like dating this girl for like 2 months, yeah, and she doesn't want you, like she doesn't let you get into her panties. And then after 3 months, it finally comes to the time that she pulls down her pants, and what you see there shocks you, because you see 2 balls and a long third leg. How would you feel, bro? That's exactly how women feel when they find out that you're actually not as strong, that you're not the king, that you aren't the king that you pretended to be or said you are. Now, why does this happen? Why do you lose your masculine frame? I said it. First of all, actually, it's a bit of a catch-22. Number one is your attachment style, which is most likely anxious. So you freak out when she like tests you, or when she says like, hey, you didn't do this, and you feel like, oh, you like when she tests you around the toilet seat, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you're overly apologetic, and you don't hold your ground, you don't stand your ground. So your own attachment comes up. Now, on top of that is, and this is from a lot of guys who watch too much Red Pill, they believe that everything is a shit test. Everything a woman does is a shit test. And they neglect the fact that women have their own attachment style, you know? So what I need you to fucking understand now is that it doesn't matter how many mental models you learn right now to pass a shit test, for instance, or like, yeah, you can pass a shit test by purposefully misinterpreting her or not really caring. Great. But that again is just like scratching the surface. We need to go deeper than that. The reason why you are losing your fucking masculine frame, and the reason why you can't distinguish whether or not it is her anxious or avoidant attachment style that's flaring up and is testing you, or whether or not she's actually unhappy with you, is because you don't know your fucking self, bro. You are not a Hercules. You're not operating your authentic self. You are just a Kevin right now, which is your shadow, which is your mask, your role, which is your attachment style. Let's fucking use that word. It's your attachment style, or attachment that comes up out of insecurity that's been triggered by your queen. And you are too much in your feminine energy now. And you need to go back to your masculine energy. Now, how do you do that? By integrating your two masculine archetypes, which are Don Juan and Patrick. You need to start learning to become assertive again. You need to start becoming emotionally grounded again. You need to be more playful again. And you need to develop the capability of seeing her as a human being, not as a goddess, because that's what you're doing. You're pedestalizing her. And bro, you need to be able to walk away. By that, I mean there are 2 stages of walking away, or 2 levels. Walking away from the situation and then from the relationship. A lot of guys, when they, this is the beef I have with the Red Pill as well, is they just say, oh, I'll walk away from her. Okay, when you imagine you are having an argument with your girl, and then she, you two are angry at each other, you say some stupid things. And then, if you were to follow Red Pill, you would say, yeah, she was loud. Now you need to leave her. Walk away from the relationship. It's complete bullshit. You're that's such a childish behavior, because it was there are always 2 sides to a coin. And what actually walking away means in this situation, from the relationship, would mean you're giving up on a partner because of her attachment style that she has to work through, her own issues. Because bro, you're not perfect. You have your own issues. And the purpose of a relationship, of a king and queen, your ride and die, or die woman, is to work through this shit together. So walking away should come, like walking away from the relationship should like always be the last resort. But walking away from the situation, that's a different question. So but like as in your Kevin energy, you're too afraid to walk away from the situation, as in like, and by that I mean setting a harsh boundary when she disrespects you, when her tonality is bad, you know. Sandra and I, we don't have massive arguments. We have disagreements, but we don't have arguments, you know? And that means that we stay respectful. We try to work through this together. We try to work through this, like find the solution together, you know? And that is a result of me holding strong frame. I yesterday had a conversation with Sandra, like on this whiteboard, where I mapped out my entire like childhood trauma. I can get away with that without losing any attraction points, or like her not wanting to fuck me, and her like her wanting to leave me. That's not gonna happen, because, and it's not the first time that we talked about childhood trauma. We've done it like we for like 1.5 years now. It's because I have the fucking crazy frame. She sees me as the guy because I constantly evolve and I'm constantly working on myself, and that's what every woman wants to see. And that is what's going to get you your frame back, is when you are actually integrating all your masculine archetypes and become your authentic masculine self. And yeah, how do you do that, bro? Like, you need to ask yourself, okay, what are you ashamed of when it comes to your masculinity? Where does your conditioning come from? Where do your insecurities come from? Most likely from your childhood, bro. And like reflect back on your relationships and ask yourself, okay, how often have you self-sacrificed? How often have you given in just to keep the peace? How often have you said, man, one day I'm going to be good at this? How often have you said yes when you wanted to say no, you know? What makes you needy? What makes you like believe that she is the only woman capable, like in your life? Like if she leaves you, what I mean by that, if she leaves you, do you think like you'll not make it? Will you not be okay? And by that, I don't mean you should shut down from loving her. Like, it should just be like your worth, there should be detachment from your self-worth and her. Your self-worth is not tied to her decision or opinion about you. Your self-worth is tied to your own self-respect, to your own actions. And with that being said, bro, if you want help with all of this and fixing this, want guidance, join my academy. Link is in the description somewhere. Love and peace. Ciao, ciao.